Hi, everyone.
Hello.
I'm the presenter, Stacy Penna from LumaVero, and I'll be talking about scholarly writing with NVivo and Citavi. And I believe,
Morning, Stacy. I'm going to take care of you this morning.
oh, okay, yeah, I was going to
Good.
start anyway because I wasn't sure. Yeah.
Yeah, you're good. We'll give it a minute, 2 minutes, just to let more folks get in.
Yep.
John Dunnup's stuck in some traffic this morning, so I'm going to be hosting you.
No worries.
We'll just give folks another 1-2 minutes to get in. And then Stacy, you have your slides, or you want me to click your slides for you?
Oh no, I might. If you don't mind, I'll share because I have to show the software too. So
Perfect. Good. And Stacy, I'm not sure if Jordan explained to you, actually have some international partners here today. So we have some of our Cambodian colleagues and some of our Kenyan colleagues and some of our Georgian colleagues with us as well.
Excellent.
And I'll keep admitting folks for a few minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a ton of international graduates as well, and staff and faculty, as I'm sure you're aware.
Great.
Okay, so I think we'll get going. So welcome to Past Publication. This is our School of Education wide and inter-university and international professional development that we do with a focus on grant writing, publications, collegiality, the graduate school experience, data, research methods, kind of everything that would relate to the work of a research center and providing a space where we can facilitate the growth of our colleagues, graduates, professionals in the field. So we do a whole lot of stuff in Paths. But I'll go ahead and introduce our invited guest speaker for today. So Dr. Stacy Penna is a Senior Engagement and Enablement Director at LumaVero.
LumaVero.
There we go. If I ever mispronounce something, I just say, I have an accent.
Lucky you.
And then I get away with it. So I made a career on that. Stacy has combined her education and research experience with her work in software industry and is delighted to be supporting and building a wider research community. Stacy earned her doctorate in education using NVivo for both her literature review and qualitative research. She has worked in QSR International now for LumaVero for 10 years and is excited for the future of research. So without further ado, Stacy, Dr. Penna, I'll hand over to you.
Great. Thank you, Matthew. Thanks for the introduction. Hi, everyone. So what I'm going to do is going to show you a short PowerPoint, just introduce how you can use NVivo and Citavi for your scholarly writing. Then I'll go into the software. Happy to make this interactive, so feel free to type in questions in the chat or, interrupt me if you want. I'll try to stop at certain sections too to see if you have questions. And in the chat now, it might be helpful if you just want to type in if you've used NVivo or Citavi before. That'll just give me a sense of like who's here when I do the presentation. So while you're doing that, I'll share my screen and pull up my. Oh, I think you have to allow me to share. Yeah. You might have to make me a co-host, Matthew.
Yeah, I just did that. So
oh, great.
Go
Thanks.
ahead and try again.
Yeah, it works. Thank you. Okay, so I just got introduced, but that's my email. If anyone has questions, I'll try to put that in the chat later too. So LumaVero, some of you might be familiar with QSR, that was the company that's developed NVivo. Lumivero acquired 3 different companies, and now we're all under one umbrella. And the company's goal is really to help researchers with the data landscape to aggregate, organize data, analyze, report, and present, and track your measurements. So I'll be talking about NVivo Citavi today, but we also have these other products if you're interested in checking them out. Now we have a more statistical software too, with Excel Stat, At Risk, and Decision Tools. So I like to talk about the whole sort of research process and how the softwares can help you with this. So it's going to help you aggregate and organize your literature review, the data you collect, your research process, but it doesn't dictate how you do your research. It's just a tool to help you with that. We do have some automation features like with NVivo transcription, automated insights, which I'll show you. It's going to help you analyze in NVivo using coding and queries. There's different ways you can present your data with maps, charts, and other visuals. And then you can collaborate with your colleagues or team members too. And then we want to help you with that final report, whether it's an article, a book, a dissertation, a thesis, to help you, with your outline, your citations, and with your publishing. I just like to bring this up because we did our own research in Scopus over the years to see who's using qualitative data analysis software. So what's interesting, not only are more people using it because it's being cited more, but and NVivo is the most cited QDA software out there. And this can help you because when you want to go find somebody who's used software for the research method you're using, you can generally find that out there in databases. This is all the different types of data you can bring into NVivo to help you analyze. So I'll be showing you Citavi, that's our reference management and writing software, but PDFs, Word documents, images, social media, and spreadsheets. We have direct links with SurveyMonkey and Qualtrics. And today with Citavi, just to explain how they complement each other. So Citavi is meant for your secondary literature and resources, so articles, books you're reading, and NVivo is meant to help you with your primary research. So the data you're collecting, whether it be interviews, focus groups, photos, really any unstructured data can come into NVivo. And then they overlap with helping you with your literature review, collaborating, taking notes, and your writing. So today, what I'm going to start with, I'll start with Citavi and show you how you can organize your references in Citavi and start creating that outline that you're interested in writing about. We do have I'm not going to talk about iTracks, but we have a partner, iTracks, that can help you collect data online and bring it into NVivo. And then how to have your data management in NVivo, how to do coding on your secondary sources and your primary sources, and then how you can write everything up and use the tools in Citavi for your citations and so on. So with that, I forgot about the arrows. I will go into the software. So I'll start in Citavi. So I'm on the desktop version, but you can also, it's also a web-based version. And I'll just open up the sample project I have. Now you can have either cloud-based projects, whether you're using the web-based cloud app with Citavi, or if you're using the desktop, and that allows you to work with your research teams on your lit review too. So when you come into Citavi, what you'll see is there's some key tabs here. So right now I'm in the reference tab, which is, let me just move this bar. The reference tab, which allows me to import all my references. So you can see I have a bunch of articles here. When I click on an article, it brings up more information. So I have an overview. I can get to the reference information. So this is all the metadata about the article, the authors, the name, the volume, the date it was published, and the pages. And then here is the actual article. So it'll also bring in the PDF article that you can start working in. And I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. And then the other tab that's important in Citavi is this knowledge tab, which helps you, it's a knowledge organizer. So it allows you to start creating your outline for your paper. And so it's easy to add categories if I want to, or a subcategory. Environment, let me think, I'll just write changes here. Oh, I already have that. Water, and so on. So you can start building that out. And then the last tab is, it's a way to organize yourself or your team. So you can assign people tasks or yourself, just to help you get organized with your writing and your reference management. So if I come into Citavi here, I'll just start with this article. I can make it so it's easier for me to see. So I'll do that. So I want to start reading through this article. And here they're talking about shoreline changes. So maybe I want to tag that and highlight it. So I can highlight, but I can also decide, is this going to be a direct quotation that I'm going to use? Is it going to be an indirect quotation, a summary, or I can make a comment. Maybe I want to make a comment to a colleague or myself about it. So if I go to indirect quote here, you can see it comes up. I can change this as just the title of the indirect quote, but I could shorten that if I want to. I can write a comment. So it's a way for me to start paraphrasing and maybe summarizing what I'm seeing in the literature review. And what's great is I can add it actually to that outline now. So shoreline changes. So I'm going to click it on water and save it. So now it becomes part of that outline. I can also choose to bring in images. So I go up here to the snapshot and then create a box around it and I go to image quotation. And same thing, I could give a description, I could change the caption here. And I can also add it to a category. So I'll add it to 2 actually here. Click OK. And so I can keep going through multiple articles here and start to build that out. Now, the way I can bring in articles into Citavi is I can go here to import, and there's a range of options. So I can bring in PDFs. I can go, if I do an online search, so you're most likely connected to some type of database with your university. So you can go right to that database and bring in articles into Citavi. These are free databases I can get into. So I could go search the Library of Congress and then bring that into Citavi. You can also, which I meant to have up and running already, but let me go and show you. I can also, go to Google Scholar, for example, or a website and bring in information. So here you see the little Citavi symbol. That means you can click on it and it will import this article with all the metadata. And if there's a PDF attached to it, right into Citavi. So again, it just helps you organize all that. And then I can also, like one thing I might do is I might be reading the bibliography and I might want to pick, let's make that larger, a article that I want to follow up to read later. So I could create a task for myself. And there's some drop down. So I want to read this. I can give it a date. And now it becomes part of my tasks here. Now, you can pick from hundreds of citation styles with Citavi, but it has all the main ones like, APA and I think I'm forgetting, but MLS, but different ones, and it will automatically do your citations for you too. But I wanted to go back to the knowledge items here. And so you can see what Citavi's done is it started to organize what I want to write about in regards to my paper. I could also add thoughts. So maybe I want to sort of think about this section. How am I going to pull it all together? I could do that right here and add it to a category. And so it really builds that rough draft for me. But now when I want to actually go to the rough draft, what I can do is I can have Citavi export this to Word. And I think this is one of the powers of Citavi is you'll see it has a Word add-in. So as this opens. So it's brought in my outline, but if I go to Citavi, the Word add-in right here and go to Citavi pane, I can pick the project. So I was working in this project, and then now all the content I had, so all the knowledge items here are located, and I can do a few things. So I could decide it's water. I want to add this to underwater, so I could do things one at a time. I must not have had anything written there. Let me try this one. Yeah, so it's bringing in, well, just the citation, because I guess I didn't have anything written, but it's also then starting to build the references automatically for me. But I could also bring everything at once, so all categories. So it's going to start building that rough draft for me, and you can see it's growing out. And this is a demo, so it's got a bunch of stuff in it. So what I like is I'm not starting from scratch. I never have a blank piece of paper when I'm trying to work on my lit review or my research. And so again, it goes down and starts building the references for me. And right now I'm in APA. I could change that to another one. I'll just go to default. You'll see it will change, and it'll change all the citations for me too. So again, very easy to use. But now I want to bring this information into NVivo so I can start analyzing it at a different level. So if I go to File, go to References, and export, one of the options to select, you'll see one of the options to export is to export it into a file type that NVivo can read. So I've already done that. So now I'm going to go into NVivo. And NVivo is qualitative data analysis software. And I will create a new project here. And I think some of you said you've used NVivo in the past or currently using it. Oops, I was trying to move something. So what I can do here is I can start organizing my data, my resources. So I'm going to create a folder called Lit Review. I'll also create a folder called Interviews because I'll bring in my interviews after. So you can see that you can have both your secondary and primary resources and data in the same project. So for a Lit Review here, I'll go to Import. And one of my options is Citavi for bibliography. And I have it in my desktop. So I'll bring this one in. And so it has a little wizard here, and I like to bring it in with the author and name of publication for the articles. And I'm going to ask it to bring it in my Lit Review folder, so I'm organized, and it will import. So you can see NVivo's importing right there, that green bar is going. So I have the articles that were in the Citavi project now in NVivo. So I can open up their PDFs, and I'll show you how I can start working in them in a second. And it also brings in references. So the same metadata that was in Citavi is now in NVivo. And why this is powerful is I'll show you, we can do a query looking across maybe all the years of publication. Did topics change, or was there something different, or maybe by author? It also brings in memos, notes I might have had. So if there was an abstract, so this is a short abstract or keywords, it will also bring that into NVivo. So there's a couple things I can do right away. So I have the lit review. And, I've already tagged things in Citavi, which is great. And with NVivo 14 is coming out very shortly, like within the next couple of weeks. And then we'll have even more Citavi integration. So all the knowledge items that were in Citavi, all these items here will actually come into NVivo as codes already. So that will be really powerful. But what I can do here is a couple things. So I can go to Explore tab and, for example, do a word frequency. So I'll just look at with these articles. So maybe I want to see, what are some words or topics that are coming up with the references. So here's a list of the top words. I can do some visuals like a word tree. And again, this just might help you know where to start. Like, where do I go with the lit review? And you'll see that green bar. So you know it's creating the word cloud for me. Almost done. And so the larger the word, the more often it's used in the literature. So people are talking about changes, environmental. So I'm just curious, what are they saying about change here? So I'll go and I can run a text search from here. So it'll pull up these are all the sources, the resources that talked about change. I have another visual called a word tree. So it's showing me the 5 words before and after change. So I might climate change. That's not surprising. How's that happening? And I could even now with climate change do another text search or here on the phrase climate change. So now NVivo is giving me the article and what was said about climate change. Typically, I like more than 5 words before and after the content. So I'll go to broad content and run the query again. And so now NVivo has done a lot of work for me. So I don't need to go through each article and find climate change. I can just create a code right from here. So I'm going to select codes. I'll call it climate change. And it'll pop up in a minute. And so now I have a code called climate change and it's listed under my codes. I can always get to the original source. This blue link will always take me to the original source. So I can go back and see what was actually highlighted here or tagged or coded in regards to climate change. NVivo also has some ways to do auto coding. So I'm just going to select all here and go to auto code. So you can auto code by themes or sentiment here. And so I'm going to stay with themes, go next. Oh, I know what happened. I had uninstalled NVivo because I'm doing beta testing for NVivo 14. And so that's why it's going through this autocode wizard to set this up. Okay, so now it's doing the going through all the articles now. And what I see there. Yeah, thank you. Ghislaine, I think I didn't say that right. I just mentioned it's great for literature review. And if anybody has questions now while this is running, it's an algorithm going through all the resources I brought in. And it's based on the noun and noun phrases. That's what it's going through to create the codes. And I want to say this auto coding, you don't have to use this. I use it just a way to look across all my data or my references just to get a big picture of what's in them. And then sometimes I do use some of the auto coded codes to start my coding, but it's not, you still have to do your coding. So you can see here, it has a hierarchy, coding hierarchy. You don't have to bring all these codes in if you don't want to. I can decide if I want to code by sentences or paragraphs. It is saving it in a separate folder because I won't want to bring all the codes into my own coding. And it will pop up with a couple visuals to see too. Almost there. So it has a hierarchical chart that gives me a visual. So if I go into change here, I can see the top level code and then the subcodes underneath it. I could click on these boxes and it would take me to the coding. It also gives me a table. So I see all the references and then going across the codes. So again, and with a heat map, that can be helpful. Like maybe it's interesting. So some people are talking about adaptation, some aren't, is that telling me something here? I could always you can export everything out in NVivo. So if you wanted to, you could export this to put in a report. And then I'll go to coding and just show you auto code. They're right here. Now, because I've done coding, I can now do a query across. So I just want to show if I'm working just with my references, how that looks. So I'm going to go and do a coding comparison query. Oh, no, sorry. I meant a crosstab query. And I'm going to bring in some of the auto-coded code just because I have coding in them. So I'll bring these 4 in. And I can use those reference classifications here. So if I want to look across the years of publication, was there a difference in those topics? Then I'm going to go to coding references and use the heat map because it's easier for me to see. So again, maybe this is saying, oh, that's interesting. This year, there was more mention about this topic over other years. Again, I like NVivo because you can sort of play with things and sort of see things from different angles to see, am I missing something in my references? Is there something that maybe I should look a little more closely at something? And so I can also export this if I wanted to. So with this, I was trying to concentrate on the references before I get into your own data coming in. But again, then this is where the link to Citavi comes in again, is if I go again to climate, the code, I can export this to a Word document. And this is starting to help me with my writing process too. So I want to go to environmental change. So now I can start adding things from my lit review, what I did in Citavi, into talking about this code. So water, environment, coastal communities. So maybe I want to add the information here from Citavi, and now it's helping me with my references too. And like I said before, it's going to also then start building out that references. So this is how they sort of work together, is that you can what you've done for your coding in NVivo, you can export and then start working with the Citavi word add-in too. So I want to stop and see if there's any, I see one question or comment. Does Citavi come with NVivo as a combined package? Not yet. I think they're working towards something, having a bundle. Right now, they are two separate products that work together. So any questions about Citavi? Because then I'll go in and maybe people in the chat, you can tell me. I'll show how you can bring in your primary data into NVivo and code on some of it. And if there's any type of data you tend to do more interviews, focus groups, surveys, that could help me too. Or if you have any questions about the NVivo and Citavi integration.
Thank you, Dr. Penna. And feel free to unmute yourself as well if you want to ask Dr. Penna a question. If your mouth is quicker than your fingers. Okay, no problem.
So a quick question.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Dr. Penna, for the interesting presentation. So I see that you have Citavi as a tab in the Word, Microsoft Word. So how can I add this to the Word so I can use it as I'm typing things on my Word?
So you go up to, so if you have Citavi, it will get installed as a Word app. Oh, I know. I think you do have to go to the Microsoft App Store and get the Citavi. It's free, the Citavi Word add-in, but you have to have Citavi. But yes, you can do that. So once you go to the Microsoft App Store, it will be added here. And then you just click on Citavi and the Citavi pane, and then it's linked to your Citavi account to get to the right the right Citavi project.
Okay. The other thing is the thoughts and the ideas that we have for Citavi, because I see it's more focused on literature review. If I want to move them to the NVivo, where they are moved as files, or they can be kind of like used as codes or notes, or currently they use codes for NVivo 13.
So right now with NVivo 13, it's the way I showed you. So what happens is it brings in the articles and the references here. But I do want to show you in my PowerPoint, I have what it's going to look like in NVivo 14 with the changes we're doing. So let me just make this from current slide. So what will happen you're in Citavi here, there'll be a place to share with NVivo, and then it will set it up so that it will work with NVivo. It will come up and say, yep, it's ready to be processed. Your Citavi project's ready to come into NVivo. And then what will happen is you'll go into NVivo and just click on add from Citavi here under the import, and your Citavi project will be shown. And you can decide what articles you want to bring into NVivo. Maybe you want all of them or just some of them here. And then what will happen is also you can pick which of the knowledge items, that outline I showed you, what those will become codes in NVivo, like they are here. So you'll have a separate folder called Citavi under codes, and then it will have all the codes that, well, basically the outline becomes a codes.
Okay. Yeah,
and they're all linked to the PDFs too.
Okay, it's kind of like merging the codes like created in Citavi and created in NVivo.
Yeah, so you're creating that outline in Citavi, and then it's just transferring that outline with all the content in the outline into codes into NVivo.
That's smart.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. And that's coming out like in next week. The NVivo 14 next week is coming out. So if you already have NVivo, you would have to upgrade to NVivo 14, but the cost isn't as great as buying a new license. And then, and if you have Citavi, you just have to upgrade Citavi, but there's no cost to that upgrade.
It's 13 is free by university. I'm not sure about 14.
Oh, yeah, right. If you get it, yes. If you have a campus-wide or enterprise license, right, you'll get the upgrade. Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Sure. Oh, and then I'm just showing this, like what I just showed. Yeah, so that's, yep, thank you for your question. Any other questions? Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just show how you can import, and if people don't have a preference, what I'll do is I'll import interviews, because that's generally pretty common with qualitative research. Interviews. So I can bring a whole bunch. I can bring audio files in, video files. And here I'm bringing Dorothy too. So I'll bring all these in. I am going to ask the software to create these as cases as they come in. Cases are your units of analysis. So who or what you're studying, and NVivo will create cases for them. And I'll show you why those are helpful in a minute. Great, so it's brought in the interviews. It's also under cases brought in, made each of the participants, the interviews, into a case. And why this is helpful is that if I have, I've done 3 interviews with Dorothy, I can bring all those interviews into Dorothy's case, and then I can assign demographic information to the cases. So here I have participants. I don't have any yet, but I can add a new attribute. So maybe I want to do age range here, and I can do values, and I can add 20 to 30. 41 to 40, and so on. So I can start adding that demographic information. Okay, I guess I have to do. And and then I could assign Dorothy an attribute here when I go to cases. And I only have one, but so I could either do this like I just did, or you can also import the classifications if you have it in a spreadsheet already, and do it all at once for your cases. And why this is powerful is because I could do, like that cross tab query I did before, looking across, maybe I want to see the difference in age ranges, or their different, different information I'm getting with my coding. But then if I want to just start coding on an interview, it's easy to open them up. Like, so, you might want to, code yourself and go through and read everything and code. I'll code the selection. And this is, I'll just say location, talking about where they lived. And then when I go to codes, you'll see it here. And then when I open up the code, it's just what I coded, and I can always get back to the original document too. So, I can easily go through my interviews and do everything one at a time. I can even code on audio. So I could listen to the audio and decide I want to code this. I could click on this little symbol, start coding here. And then finish coding. And you see I get that little blue box, and I can, I'll go back to codes, and I'll just code the to location. And now when I go to the location code, you'll see there's an audio tab on the right. Now I can also, if I want to edit, I can add, maybe I want to transcribe just part of this audio. So, I mean, I can listen and transcribe as I listen. I didn't play it, but you could listen to it. But we do have, and it won't show that unless people want. We do have NVivo transcription, which will auto transcribe for you. It's very accurate with like 1 or 2 people, even 3 people. I use it a lot. It's a web-based application, so it is separate from NVivo, but it integrates with NVivo. It's a separate product. But I just wanted to show you that. And I can do the same thing with video, and I showed you how to import PDFs. But I also want to, I like using, in my own research, I use photos a lot, or pictures. So I do want to import a photo because a lot of people I know use photo voice. I was going to import this picture. And so when I open this up, so I can do a couple things here. I can edit and start writing. So like maybe my impression of the picture or my participant's impression of the picture. So I can say, well, I want to write a comment about the nets here, and no, I know, sorry, the edit went away. So let me do that again. So I can go here and say insert row, and I can type about the nets. And then it is assigned that I can see that's the area, the pixel range that I was talking about. But I can also code on the picture. I'll bring that into location again and open it up. And then you can see the picture tab here, and you can see what was coded. And I didn't code the text, but it'd be right there. So you could do that with all your primary data, but like I showed before, you could always go to explore, do word frequency, find, where are the key things you want to write about. You could do a text search. So I'll do a text search because I haven't shown that to you yet. So I know this is about a coastal community. So they talked about fish and fishing. I could do exact words, stem word, synonyms, and I'll run it. So and this is again some of the power of NVivo, because it's going find where everyone talked about fit. Oh, I didn't do just interviews, so I got my references too here. And again, you could do the word tree from here. I have the references. I'm going broad in the context. And now, again, NVivo did a lot of work for me. So instead of me trying to find, and this is what I typically do, I'll start going through my interviews and there's some words that keep coming up. So I'll stop coding for them and I'll do a text search just to save myself some time. I mean, sometimes people might refer to fishing, for example, without saying fish. So you still have to code, but this is a way to at least jumpstart a lot of your work. And so I'll go to codes here, and you can see fishings now, and it has 207 references out of 9 files. So that's a lot of work I didn't have to do right there. Now, I also want to mention you can, you can create memos. So a lot of times you'll probably keep like a coding journal. And one of the features I used when I coded, I would do an insert date time stamp just to keep track of what my process was. And again, you can go back, you can code on memos, you can assign memos to data or files or codes here. All right, now so this was a project I created, so I don't have a lot of data in it. So I'm going to close this and go into our sample project just because it has more data. So I'll say yes, I'll save it. And so I'll go into the sample project. So here you can see I have a lot more data to play with. So one of the areas that you use NVivo for is to do queries to look across your data. So I'll go to Explore tab and go to matrix coding query. And this is one of the queries I use quite often in NVivo because it helps me look across my work. So for example, I want to see I'm going to pick all the codes under economy because I want to compare, is there any overlap between what I coded for the economy with what people said in regards to the natural environment? Pick these. and then I'll run the query. So it's going to give me a table with this information. I always like to do a heat map. So right now it's on coding references. I could change it to percent coding here. Or, you have different options. And again, so this might help me think about what I'm seeing in my data to tell a story and explain what I'm seeing. So when you talk about environmental changes, there was a lot of coding done with fishing and aquaculture. Why is that? Well, I can go right into this cell, open it up and see the coding where there was a cross fit. You can also create a chart here. I can export that. Oh, this one's better. I could export this to put in a final report. I'm guessing probably some of you work in teams, so you might work with other researchers on either your lit review or your coding. So another query that you might find helpful is a coding comparison query. And I have an example for this. So this will allow you to look for inter-rater reliability amongst coders. So here in this example, it ran a kappa coefficient for me. It's going to show me percent agreement, disagreement. My understanding with kappa is the closer to 1 you are, the more agreement you have amongst coders. So I'm just going to open up the one that has the least amount of agreement here. And you can see NVivo is keeping track of who's coded what by their initials. And we have coding stripes that will show me well, WWS coded this section, HGP coded this section, and EDR coded this section. So again, this would maybe a discussion saying, okay, we all need to code at the end of sentences or end of paragraphs because NVivo captures the kappa coefficient with the percent of characters you're coding. But again, it helps you just see if are you in alignment. Question? And then I also want to just show you, for example, if I open up Barbara's interview here, I can also bring up coding stripes in a document. So I'll go recently coded. So I can see here everything that was recently coded, or I can pick selected items. So maybe I want to see who what users coded in this document. So again, the people in bold, they coded. And you can see by their initials. So I can click on EDR and see everywhere where that researcher coded here. And I could even see if I do substripes, what the actual codes were here. So, so yeah, just different ways to help you when you're working as a research team. And then lastly, I just wanted to show maps and some visuals you can create. So there's 3 main maps. So one is a mind map. So basically, when you open a new mind map, this is blank. It's like a whiteboard. And you can bring in floating ideas to help you. So this, you might be thinking about, oh, this in this regards, it's their coding structure. They're building out how they're going to build their codes. So it's more of an outline. It will actually create the outline for you after you make this, but you might just want to think about and brainstorm ideas. We also have a concept map. So a lot of times when you're working, I mean, it could be like literature review or like I used NVivo for my dissertation and I used it for my lit review, my own data analysis. And then when I went to put everything together, I had the literature codes right next to my own analysis. And then for my findings, I brought them together. So again, I might have used something like this to sort of figure out like how it was all going together visually, or maybe there's a concept you want to show visually. And so you can bring in, these are actually codes. You can bring in project items here, and you can export this if you want to put in it in a final report. And then lastly, you have a project map. So these are codes. You can bring in different project items and sort of play with them visually. So I know a lot of times people like to do that. Sometimes when you see things visually, you might get a new idea or it looks different. So it makes you think about something different. So yeah, so that's the presentation. I'm happy to take questions, but while you're thinking of questions, either typing them in or you can unmute yourself. I just want to show you, I can share this PowerPoint with Matthew, but we do have free resources that you can access with NVivo. We do have Academy courses that are online courses that you work asynchronously, but also trainers are there to help you. We have a bunch of webinars, they're free. These are researchers in the field that are talking about writing and qualitative and mixed methods. So feel free to register. I can put that in the chat in a minute. This is just all our different products. I showed you Citavi today. We have a partnership with iTracks, and then we have NVivo transcription, NVivo desktop, NVivo collaboration. With NVivo 14, NVivo collaboration cloud, you'll actually be able to work on the same project at the same time. It's a cloud-based project, and it won't matter if you have Mac or Windows either. And again, that's coming out very shortly. And then I would encourage you to join our Lumavero community. And I'm just going to go there quickly because I think, yeah, let me go to the homepage. So this is free and it's meant to be a place where people can, oh no, do I have to sign in? Because I haven't, no, good. All right. I'm still signed in. It's a place where you can go and have discussions with other users and experts. So trainers get on here. If you have questions, I have John Eric here. He's our NVivo champion who monitors the site and he's great at getting back to people. We have NVivo resources. You do have to create an account in the community, but it's free to access the resources. But you can see here, if I want to learn how to import into NVivo, we have some text, but it's short videos that are actually from our academy that you can watch to learn how to do this, importing a survey and so on. And then we have groups you can join either in Citavi and NVivo, and we have resources for Citavi too here. So if you want to join like a mixed methods group or a coding group, and then we have events too that are listed. And we do have NVivo user groups, like the Teamwork Spotlight. They're NVivo research networks. They're free. They're run by research my trainers. So go check this out and feel free to register for one. So that I will stop sharing and see if there are any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Penna. You just gave us the mother load of resources there at the end.
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat too, so people have it.
Dr. Penna, I had a quick question. This is David Jimenez.
Hi.
And how you doing? And again,
Good.
Thank you for this information. It's been really informative. On the NVivo transcription, that's a trial or a subscription. Does it allow for another language other than English, such as Spanish?
Oh, yes, it's 28 different languages.
Oh, wow.
And Spanish is definitely one of them. Yes.
Mm. And is it my understanding it's a subscription or a monthly, or how does that work?
So it works different ways. So you can buy per the hour. And it's done by, so if you have an hour audio file, it'd be that you'd pay for an hour, right? But if you have 10 hours of audio, you'd pay for 10. And it generally takes half the time of the audio file to actually transcribe. It's very quick. I use it all the time. It's always faster than I think. Or if you have a lot of transcription, you can pay like a 12-month subscription and you get, I think it's up to 50 hours for that, that year.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. I really appreciate that. I just kind of wanted some more information on that.
Yeah, go check it out. There's it's 15-minute trial, but you'll see, how it works. And
Sure.
I mean, it's not 100% accurate because nothing like that is, but it's pretty close. It's pretty good.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
Good. And Dr. Penna, Dr. Jimenez is a lead coordinator on one of our grants in the Education Leadership Research Center in our Dual Language Center.
Oh, great.
He's been with us for a number of years, very, very advanced researcher. And I believe our director and senior associate dean, Dr. Beverly Irby, is here, and she has a question as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Richards. And thank you, Dr. Penna, for a wonderful presentation and sharing. I think that Texas A&M actually has a contract with NVivo. And so we have access to NVivo. So I don't know if we have one of my questions was earlier. I'm not sure if Citavi is, I think that's the way you pronounce it, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
is available aligned with that contract, or if it's just one thing, or if it comes together, or if this is something new that they would be re-upping and I need to talk with somebody about. Also, I'm wondering if it's in the library. We have other things in the library, such as RefWorks or Providence or Ryan or those kinds of things, which is similar, to Citavi, which this is very, very nicely done, by the way. But I'm wondering if that aligns with the library, if we're in the library and we're able to send things over like we are in RefWorks, for example, as a collaboration with the library here at Texas A&M. Do you know the answers to those questions?
So I can find out for you. I don't know. I will
Okay.
I will touch base with your customer success manager who helps with, because you have a account with NVivo with us,
Right.
and find out if you have access to Citavi too. But I know you can add Citavi to your, NVivo enterprise license. So
Mhm.
if people were interested in that, they would be the best people to explain how that happens.
Wonderful. Oh, yes, absolutely. Well,
And-
thank you so much. That will be helpful. And I will, on my end, try to find the answer as well
Okay, great.
through the library on that other part too.
Excellent.
But thank you. We really appreciate your informative presentation.
Great. I'm
Your
glad it was
time.
helpful.
And everyone on the Zoom today, thank you for coming.
Thank you, Dr. Ivy. We actually had it come up as a question last week in our office about NVivo and NVivo training and who was trained on the team. And we just, you're very timely, Dr. Penna, because we were just talking about this about a week ago.
So
And go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to say, we do have NVivo certified expert courses. So if you have somebody that you would like to be certified, they would be an internal trainer then. So you get resources, you get a certification badge. So if you're interested, I can send information about that too.
Yeah, absolutely, Dr. Penna. One thing that makes us all kind of set up at the university is when we know we're going to get a certificate
Yeah.
and a badge. That's the sweet spot.
Okay, great.
Hamada, I think we have time for a very quick question from you, under 1,000 words. Hamada, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Richards. So I have been using NVivo 12 and I was comfortable using it. I installed the 13 kind of like 2 weeks ago. I'm still figuring out some new features, but one of the things I'm not sure, is it me or is it the software? I have problem using the Excel on it.
The import the survey wizard.
Yes.
Okay, let me just if I have time, it's okay if people have to drop off, but if it's okay, I'll just show.
Perfect, that's fine.
But and I want to say thank you for everyone attending. Okay, so what? Oh no, I'm not sharing. Sorry, let me share my screen again. Okay, so I'll go up here. Oops. Okay, so here we have surveys already in, but if I want to import a survey here, well, so if you have Qualtrics or SurveyMonkey account, you can go to those accounts and then import those right into NVivo, but I'll go to an Excel sheet here. And NVivo has a survey wizard. So the respondents will be created, become cases automatically. The closed-ended questions will be attributes, and the open-ended questions will become codes. And so it's just showing me what it's going to look like when it comes into NVivo. I'm going, the respondents, I'm going to stay as respondents here, survey respondents. it's going to ask me, are these open or closed ended, just to make sure it has it right. And then I'm not going to auto coded themes and sentiment just because I showed you that already. And it will go through the survey wizard and check off when it's done with certain things. Okay, so it says it's done, and I'll close. So this is just showing you what it looks like when it comes into NVivo. So the grayed out columns are those attributes. And then if I scroll, you'll see the white areas are the open-ended responses. So what happens in NVivo is a couple things. So you can see here, it's created auto-coded survey. So that's the survey. So all the open-ended questions here have become codes, which can be helpful because then I can just concentrate on certain questions or do those queries I showed you, like a matrix coding query. It also has automatically brought in respondents. So these are all my respondents, and it's automatically brought in their demographic information based on the survey. And now I can code a couple ways. So I could, open up, this code, for example. That was one of the open-ended responses that came in. So I don't know, did you do that, or what was the issue you were having?
I was I was trying to have it under files so I can not look at it as cases. The idea it is uploaded as cases is very structured and very helpful. I was trying to upload it as files so I can look through the document like I do for the Word documents. If this makes sense.
And so if you import it the way I did, you could still do the survey wizard, but you could also open up the survey like I just did it now. And I can also just code right on it myself. Like I don't, so I could either make a new code or I could put it in a code I already have, or a bunch of codes if it makes sense. Like I could hit shift and put it in. Oops, that's a lot, but I can do that. So you could, is that where you're looking to do code right on it?
Yes, exactly. Actually, I was using different resources, but when it comes to the Excel, I had an issue. That's why I had to transfer it into Word, but now I can use it as well. Yes.
Yeah. And it might have been when it came in, one tip is always have respondents here on the first column. And then it will come in easier in NVivo when you import it. Maybe that was an issue. You can also go like form by form. So you can see I can go by respondent one at a time and do it too here. So, and that might be even easier for you to code.
Yeah, that will be great. Yeah, thank you so very much.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Yeah, thank you, Meta. And Dr. Penna, I just looked you up as well for a second. So there's the QR code that if people scan it, it will take them straight to the free webinars that you shared.
Oh, cool.
There you go.
I got to figure that out.
Yeah, it's just the Adobe QR code generator.
Oh, cool.
So it's pretty quick and easy to do.
Yeah, thank you.
Good. Well, I think we'll close out today. We're a few minutes over, but every minute was worth it. Dr. Penna with you. We appreciate your time and we appreciate everybody coming to PATS. Thank you, Dr. Obi, for joining us. I know you've got a busy schedule. And thank you to our international partners, to our Georgian partners, our Kenyan partners, our Cambodian partners. We have Spanish partners, we have Costa Rican partners, all over the world. So thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Be safe and take care.
Great. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.